The first video I made on this channel revolved around flat earthers, and this was a time long before the mainstream media has gone on to shit on them. Fact is, I was early to the party. It happens. And so was Vice. They made the video that I reacted to. But after watching the Behind the Curve documentary, I realized something. I realized I was wrong. Not about the shape of the Earth. It's round. It's a globe. But about how I approached flat earthers. I approached them by making fun of them, alienating them, and simply telling them they were dumb or something along those lines, but definitely saying that they were 1000% wrong. Honestly, I'm too lazy to go back and rewatch my old video, but there's something that I learned. What I did was wrong. It's easy to publicly shame someone for something they believe or something they do, but it was not the right thing to do. Shaming is no way to start a dialogue, but thankfully to Behind the Curve, they did all the work for me. That documentary is what inspired this video and probably a whole slew of videos on YouTube. But the documentary decided to have an honest take on flat earthers, following two of the main figures through their adventures. I don't think adventures was the right word, but I used it, so now I'm saying it. And it also followed their artistic aspirations, while also going through the events that led up to the Flat Earth Convention that I, again, made my first video on. The documentary was fun, and honestly, I came away with a different perspective on flat earthers. What I gathered, and maybe this was partially due to how the documentary was shot and edited, was that these people do not feel like they belong anywhere else. Flat earthers, like their fellow conspiracy theorists, find a home amongst their society. But why? Well, these people raise honest questions and are met with dismissal. And flat earthers are bullied by most people. They get laughed at and alienated from society because their opinions are different. Throughout the documentary, people claim they lost all of their friends, and one guy is getting a divorce. Does it have to do with the flat earth society? I don't know, but he just said he was getting a divorce. So I assume because he said it in a documentary about the flat earth that it is because he's a flat earther. Or maybe he was a bad husband. I don't know this guy. I don't know. I have no idea. Now, a lot of this flat earth stuff is rooted in government conspiracy or religious ideology, and sometimes both. With that being said, bullying them is probably not the answer. Having reasonable doubt of the government should be normal. It sounds crazy, I know. But the government, like all powerful things, can be corrupted and definitely misguided. Also, to believe that the earth is flat because God made it that way for humans is actually not the craziest thing I have heard from a religious text, and tying those two together is pretty seamless. Now, the best part of this documentary is when, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, go watch it, the flat earthers prove the earth is actually a globe. Twice. 2 different times, but twice. But what happened next is that all the flat earthers made excuses and, well, whatever. They still think the earth is flat, but something became very obvious. Facts don't matter. Rational science does not matter. Just like there are religious people who believe evolution is just made up, or that a man collected 2 of every animal in existence, and then they just lived peacefully on an ark he built, and they survived a flooding of the earth, and then they all reproduced. With that being said, religion is not based on science. If you didn't know that, now you know it's not based on fact or science. Just like flat earthers do not base their beliefs in facts and science. While they may seem that way, and some of them desperately try to make it that way, they try to make the science work for them. They try to make their arguments science-based, but only when it supports their hypothesis, not when it disproves it. Flat earthers are a religious-based organization with no single religion tying them together beyond the idea of the earth being flat. There are subsections of the group that believe in what feels like an infinite variation of the theory, but it's all the same. They all are united under one umbrella. The flat earth, or not the globe earth. They're not globers. They're flat earthers. Or whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, it kind of does matter, but still, they just don't believe the earth is round. They believe it's flat. Some believe there's an ice wall. Some believe there isn't. But yada, yada. It goes on forever. So with that being said, flat earthers are not crazy, or at least they're just as crazy as your average everyday religious person. And that level could vary from person to person, I guess. But for the most part, I think we could all agree most religious people aren't crazy. They just believe in something that can be crazy, but isn't, because it's religion, obviously. Personally, I think a sense of belonging is very important for people, and some people don't really have that outside of the flat earth movement. This sounds like I'm rationalizing flat earth, and that's because obviously I am. I don't regret making fun of them, because without that, I would not have gotten here where I understand them. In addition to that, I wasn't the only one mocking them. I mean, it feels like everybody is name calling, everyone's making jokes at their expense, everybody's mocking them. And that only makes so these people, these flat earthers, feel more and more isolated. And in that isolation, their only safe haven is other flat earthers. In a world with the internet, you cannot bully someone out of existence for their likes, dislikes, or their beliefs. You can simply bully them out of your line of sight and everyone else's. But in the distance, a few steps removed from your peripheral vision, they will be forming their own society, their own religion, and in some cases, their own cult. While Flat Earth is not a cult, they aren't really hurting anybody. They shouldn't be alienated. They should be treated like we treat anyone else with a different religion. And that should be with respect, dignity, and over time, maybe they change their mind. Maybe they're more open and become exposed to a different perspective. And maybe having friends and family outside of Flat Earth makes it easier for them to leave, because they won't lose everyone they know and love. It is easy to make fun of someone, but it is hard to understand them. And maybe we should try that. Maybe we should just be there for each other. Thank you for your time. This has been the Flat Earth Revisited, and I'm your host, Array. I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, or don't. It doesn't fucking matter.